Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining this afternoon for our monthly OLA meeting, Ohio Landlord Association. We appreciate everybody taking time out of your day today to join us. This is Glenn Lytle hosting today's session. Today, our topic for discussion revolves around scaling your business, taking your passive income opportunity to the next level, whether you're starting off or you currently have a small portfolio or looking to grow a portfolio, or even well-established folks looking to get a few tips and tricks on how other folks are scaling their business. So I see some familiar faces here with us this afternoon. David, Lisa, Joe, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. I'm joined here today with Tyler Brummett from Freeland Properties. Tyler, how you doing today?
Doing good, Glenn. How are you doing?
Good. Excited. Finally, weather's starting to break here, and I guess depending on where you're at, good afternoon, good morning. Let's just jump right into it. So Tyler, you've got the agenda slide here. So we'll go through some quick introductions, and then we'll jump into the main content really centered around our guest speaker, Tyler, talking about scaling a portfolio. He's going to talk a little bit about how he went from a top performing director level producer at Quicken Loans and really into a full-time investor position. He'll talk about some of the landlord challenges that he's had and faced over the years and how he's dealt with that. Get into scaling the business, how he scaled the business and managed in a pretty short period of time to accumulate a number of units, the software and processes that he uses, and then along the way, maintaining a professional outlook and approach to the market. And then we'll wrap up. Relative to questions, certainly we'll have an opportunity at the end for questions. I find it easier to go through the chat box, and if you have something that you would like to elaborate on, or you feel like there's an opportunity to drill into something a little bit there, just hit the chat box. I'll be managing that the whole time so that we can try to address any commentary that might be more relevant on a specific slide instead of going back and forth. So feel free to be interactive in the chat box there, and I'll be managing that very closely. Next slide here, Tyler, real quick. We were able to, obviously after the events, we try to get information on the recorded version out to everybody. Not everyone's able to attend live. So we do want to make sure that we get that out to everybody. We did have the opportunity to get an on-demand platform. So we're building a library of our prior speakers on the actual platform. So if you weren't able to catch David Streeter and his discussions on truths and myths on evictions, and then also went into some good discussion on the CARES Act and in PPP loans, et cetera, that is now available on demand if you go to the freelandventures.com/OLA site. And then most recently we had Jack Petrick from the Petrick Property Group join us, and he was talking about steps to owning, managing, stabilizing properties, specifically during the quarantine stage. So two great topics in the past, now available on demand. So if you get a chance to go back, if you weren't able to attend or actually had questions or wanted to elaborate again on what was discussed, those are now available at your discretion. So thank you, Natalie, for getting those squared away. Why don't we jump to the next slide, Tyler? So the OLA Group, powered by the Freeland companies, just to give you a little bit of overview on Freeland, really broken out into three different buckets: capital management, specifically managing, we've got three funds, and then we also work with a number of investors on specific deals. We JV with a number of folks throughout the U.S. We have about $37 million in total capital under management and about 3,000 units within there as well. Our second bucket is Freeland Properties. This is really focused specifically on purchasing assets, multifamily and apartment, mostly A and B class. And this is really the group that Tyler Brummett, our speaker for today, spearheads for us. And then the last bucket, the servicing group, really focused on servicing all the loans from our loan division, fund management, asset management, project management, rehabs, and then lastly, default resolution, doing workouts with folks that need some help getting out of certain situations. So those are the three breakouts for Freeland Ventures, and really the crux of how we pulled the OLA together, just getting folks together. Obviously, the first event was live and had some great interaction and networking, and really the true intent of the meeting. And our goal now is really, we just want to be able to provide good content while we kind of work through some of the challenges of social distancing and that kind of thing. So hopefully we're around the corner. We can start meeting live again and do some great networking in that regard. One more slide, Tyler. We'll get into our sponsor for this particular session is Seed Capital. So they assist entrepreneurs in financing startups. They've got some innovative funding and credit building techniques that they use. They funded over $2 billion of startup ventures. Over 30,000 entrepreneurs have benefited from that, specifically on lines of credit up to 150K, and some great low interest rates that they've got. I've been around these guys for a number of years. They've got some great opportunities to get companies off the ground and get things moving. So I encourage you to check them out. To get started, you can go to prequalifyme.com. They've got a simple application. They move very quickly, and they've got a nice promo code there for the OLA folks today, trial 010. So check that out. Again, we've been around these guys for a number of years through the Strategic Real Estate Coach family, and have seen a lot of folks use them over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. So appreciate their sponsorship in the event and helping for us to get the content out to the group. So again, Seed Capital, thank you for that. Okay, so let's jump into the crux of the conversation and scaling the business here with our main speaker, Tyler. So local to Cleveland, been around the real estate lending business for over 9 years. Started his career at Quicken Loans, as I mentioned earlier. High performing director level at Quicken Loans, managing large pipelines. Was most recently last year honored as one of the 20 in their 20s by Crain's Magazine. So we're thrilled to have Tyler with us and such a high producer. Personally manages over 130 rentals of his own, and then through partnerships over 300 units in total. So a lot of experience in it. And again, I think the perfect candidate for talking through scaling your business, getting it to the next level. Some great tips and tricks. Tyler's been with us for a little over a year now. And he just recently made partner in Freeland Properties. So again, congratulations to Tyler on that. And Tyler, thrilled to have you on. And I'll turn things over to you at this point to punch through your slides. Welcome, Tyler.
Awesome. Thanks, Glenn. Hey, everybody. Name's obviously, Tyler Brummett. I'm just going to go over some quick slides here on some things that I've done in my business to kind of get through the floor where I was kind of stuck around 10 to 15 units, and how I was working full time, how I was able to manage those, and what really helped me kind of break through to really start scaling. And ever since then, it's just been a positive wave of growing my rental portfolio. And then, with partnering with Freeland Properties, actually this month, I'm extremely excited about, and we'll get to that at the end on what we're looking for and what type of properties we're looking to get into and buy as well. Now, as far as how I transitioned, as far as getting from 10 to 15 rental units, plus or minus, sometimes I'd sell some, but how I really broke through that 15 to 100 units was I kind of evaluated everything. So, I was working in the business versus not really on the business. My time wasn't invested in really what I was best at. And I realized I was the reason, I couldn't hit my goals, and really I was in my own way. Making smart time investments. I wasn't using my time, efficiently at all. I was spending a lot of time on in the office accounting and spreadsheets and all that type of stuff. And really, I was getting in my own way to kind of grow. And I was spending hours upon hours in just my little portfolio of 10 to 15 rental properties and working full time. And there's probably a lot of us that are like that. Is it's kind of nerve wracking and nervous really to actually grow your rental portfolio. You're like, how am I going to manage this? How am I going to collect these rent from these people? How am I going to make sure that bills are getting paid? And I was pulling my hair out. So this is why I transitioned and what helped me, and that's what I kind of want to share with everybody here and hopefully impact someone to kind of scale their business. So some of the challenges that I ran into, and I know all landlords run into, is rent collection. How do you collect your rent? Where is it coming from? How many drives are you going door to door collecting cash from people? Then you forget who paid you what. It's a nightmare sometimes. What about inbound calls, maintenance requests, monthly accounting and expense tracking, which was literally every week I knew I had to do my accounting and expense tracking, and I cringed thinking about it. I would put it off. And that's literally some of the most important part of the business. If you're not doing your accounting right, you're not tracking your expenses right, how do you know if you're profitable? Tenant communication, my phone was blowing off the hook. Text messages at all hours of the day. Tenants have no filter, they don't care. If they have no hot water, you're gonna know. So how to handle tenant communication. Monthly, quarterly, and annual profit and losses. So you can look at certain reports and report accurate information to your accountant is key as well. Because in the real estate business, there's tons of tax benefits that you can get. And if you don't track it correctly, in the end, it could, you can really shoot yourself in the foot. So those are some of the landlord challenges, at least what I ran into. Now, how to scale. This is really where I dug into my business, and it was kind of a turning point for me. When I was at 15 units, I almost gave up and sold the entire portfolio. So how I got started, I was working at QL and I was making money, and instead of going and buying, crazy, ridiculous stuff, I just started buying real estate, and it kind of got out of hand. I was running a full team. At one point I was like, I'm going to sell this entire portfolio just because it's so hard to manage. But then I really buttoned down and thought, how can I fix this? Systemize now and not later. And what I really mean by that is figuring out what systems work for you and what systems are not working for you. Having multiple technologies, it really lacks a standardized process and procedures. So for example, how many different Excel sheets are you using? I was using 4 or 5. One for flipping, one for expenses, one for my scheduled real estate owned, one for profit and loss, one for tenant, tenant names. It was literally a nightmare, just to kind of give you an idea on how my business was. And I thought it was perfect. I thought I was running everything right, easy and trackable. I was tracking things 4 to 5 different times. If you systemize now and put a process in place, there will actually be less opportunities for errors because you'll have all of your data and information in one section, or I guess one system. So really, you got to find a property management software that is tailored to you and your needs, and that can do a lot for you. So my needs were the office time. I liked being out in the field. I liked looking at properties, negotiating properties, finding deals, putting offers in, networking with people. That's what I'm good at, right? And I wasn't doing that. I was doing that 10 to 15% of the time, where the other percent of the time, 90 to 85% of the time, I was doing accounting on my little itty bitty portfolio that I had. So invest into your business. We've all heard that before. And really what that means is invest in your business. Take some money and put it back in your business to make your life easier. Or if it goes into, investing in bringing on more employees to help you out. So you must spend money to make money. Spend money on what you don't like doing or what you're not good at. I didn't like accounting. I didn't like, preparing for taxes, but I liked the profits and I liked buying real estate. So I invested into a section of my business, what I didn't like doing and wasn't really that good at. There's a lot of free, property management systems out there, like Cozy's one of them. And there's a few other, I don't really remember. I use Cozy. Don't do it. Anything that's free is really, I hate to say it, but anything that's free is really not worth it. And it's only going to prolong your growth. It's kind of just like putting a cap on your potential. It's free and it does help you organize, and it may be good for an entry level, but within 30 to 45 days, you're going to realize it doesn't really do much for you. So you're going to go back to utilizing your Excel sheets, utilizing Google Sheets. You know, I had sticky notes. You walked into my home office, there's literally sticky notes all over the place. And that was just because I needed certain things to track my business, and I thought I was doing the right thing. Trust your process is really, really key. So results don't happen immediately. So when I first converted over and I invested into a property management software, it was very difficult. The initial setup is hard. You have to convert your properties, you have to add your tenants. Your tenants are used to dropping off rent checks to your house, which don't do. I did that for a long time. You don't want people coming to your own, personal house. People are used to you collecting up rent, right? So getting, your current tenants converted and getting them onboarded and that type of stuff is challenging, but I promise you, you will see the results if you, keep your foot down and you stick to your process. It took me about 90 to 120 days to really get this thing put together and actually have a strong process that was working for me. But I had a lot of upset tenants at first, now they love it, but I had so many upset tenants at first because they were so used to one way of working with me for so long, which in the end, it was actually more challenging for us. They would have to make sure they're home when I'm coming by. It was just overall, it was brain damage. Automation is like the key of this entire business. So when it comes down to that, like in my eyes, a perfect business is one that's automated. And that's what I really tried to do with property management, is making sure it's automated, making sure that I'm only spending 10% of my time. Think about like what can be done without physical human interaction. I'm gonna say that again. Think about what can be done without physical human interaction. There's so much that can be done in the real estate business without physically having to go and meet somebody, without physically having to answer the phone call. And in this day and age, our tenants probably don't want to see us. They probably don't want to talk to us as much. They prefer to text. They prefer to send an email. So it's all about just being consistent with that. Almost all property management can be set on automation to an extent. Automation, it really only needs to be managed. You don't necessarily need a manager. So that saves you time, which is the most valuable asset I think on the planet, and money as well, because it just needs to be managed. You don't physically need a manager to manage a lot of this stuff. Automated system management is the only way that companies today can really pressure, take on the pressure of 100% availability. How do you get good reviews on your company's webpage? How do you retain tenants? Well, it's kind of in this business, tenants will submit, text you, like I said, if your hot water is not working at 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, having an automated system and having good reviews and tenant retention is your availability. You need to be available 100% of the time. Well, with the property management software, you could set auto, responders so tenants know that you're working on it. So these are 4 steps on what I utilize and what I focus on to scale my business and what worked for me. Now, my choices of software and processes, I use Buildium. I've done a lot of research with that Folio, which is a great one. I like Buildium. Buildium has more information that you could utilize with like reports and accounting. The reason why I like this one is, easier tenant communication. Tenants love it because they can send a message on the portal and it goes on the portal. They can see if it was read or not. So therefore, you're not getting messages on your personal cell phone anymore. When you log in the morning, it takes you 2 seconds. You can see if there's any message outstanding. Boom, you knock it out there. So if you're at dinner with your significant other and a tenant's blowing you up or text messaging, it won't ruin your dinner because it's not actually transferred to your phone. If you want the notifications on your cell phone, you can do that, but it's all built in within the cloud. Way faster maintenance turnaround time. That's the key. If tenants initial setup, tenants would still text me if things were broken, but I would say if it's not on the portal, it's not getting done. They would be frustrated at first, but then when they notice they put it on the portal, that's where it's your job to really hold your ground and get that stuff done right away. So your tenants will use the software or their online tenant portal because they see the results actually happening quicker than if they were to pick up the phone and call, you know, their local landlord. Turns accounting and expense tracking and office work down by, you know, 90%. I mean, I was doing, I would say weekly, probably about 8 hours a week. It was one full day, you know, probably, you know, I would say 40 hours a month, maybe per se. I'm literally on a monthly basis. I'm doing my accounting. It takes me about 45 minutes. And again, I have over 100 plus units. So it's automated so much stuff. When I log in, I can see who paid and who didn't. Instead of me going to my Excel sheet, going to property, and did I put that, who, did this person pay rent? Did I put that in there? And there's opportunities for error. So the system will update you automatically. Best part is if like, let's say a tenant pays and then it goes bounced, and it gets like they didn't have insufficient funds or something like that, it will notify you. Where before I wouldn't realize till months on the line that, hey, this check went in and it came out and I missed that rent. Now that tenant doesn't rent for me, it's a lost cause, I'm not getting that back. The system actually increased my profitability. The revenue and rent collection options is phenomenal. I have a very, very soft heart. So when it comes down to it, if a tenant was late and I was going to their door to pick up the rent, I wasn't charging them a late fee. It didn't feel right doing that personally. Well, now it's an online system. It's an online platform. So when they log in, they see their rent. If it's not paid by the 8th, then that late fee automatically clicks in. I've increased my income just on late fees in general by at least, 5 to 10 grand a year just on late fees and other fees that I would never, ever would have ever charged, because it was kind of just difficult to do those types of things face to face. And the tenant probably would have paid it, but just the type of person I am, it was really hard for me to do it. So that increased my revenue. Way better accurate reporting for tax preparation. My accountant really appreciated this. He got like a nice, document with a header. It said my company's name on it. And there's slim to no errors because of the system updating everything throughout the year, throughout the months, and you're checking your reporting. You can pull these reports. So overall, it helped me with taxes because I definitely kept way better records. Now, process and standards are the main thing. So you have to have your own process and standards that you want to run your business, and you have to really stand by those. And what I mean by that is when a tenant becomes a tenant with you, you have to have the right onboarding process. It's all about the client or the tenant experience up front. If you have a sloppy onboarding process, they're going to pay you sloppy. If you have a really strong, clear, understanding onboarding process, then the tenant knows exactly what they're supposed to do, and everything will go a lot easier. So how I do it is each tenant prior to move-in, they get a welcome email and they get account setup directions. Now, again, this was all set up during the account setup when I originally started the new software. So I didn't actually have to type up an email individually. I made one email template. When I onboard them, I send the email and it's automatically sent to them right away. So once you approve their application, they get the welcome email. Boom, it's done. It also gives them very detailed instructions on how to make their rent. So they pay online. You have to pay your security deposit and your first month's rent, if you rent for me, online. If you do not have a bank account and you do not have an email, that is my standard. I cannot rent from you. Not saying that those people are bad people or anything. It's just for the sake of, my business, you have to have these certain standards to rent for me. But in result, you're going to get great customer service. You're going to get 24-hour turnaround times. You're going to get a very nice, rental property. Someone's always going to be available for you. So there's benefits that the tenant gets from renting for me. And I just ask for a few things: is you got to have an email and you got to have a bank account. So if the tenant submits their security deposit and their first month rent online, then every single month they can set up auto draft payments. And if they set up auto draft payments, I'll give them 10, 20 bucks off on their rent. And you could utilize that in the markup. So when you give them $10 to $20 really off the rent, you're still profiting what you normally wanted to profit, but the tenant feels like they're getting a better, a deal, and the rent's coming in. All maintenance requests must go through the portal, like have to. If someone calls me and says, hey, this is broke or whatever, I'm going to forget about it. But if it's a maintenance request there, a tenant can put it on. The morning you reply, I'm on it. You'll have a call within 24 hours. They appreciate that. So they just know that they're not left in the dark. So every single maintenance request have to go into the portal. If I'm like walking my buildings, which I'm a very active landlord. So if I'm walking my buildings and tenant sees, they're like, hey, this is broken. Great, excellent. Thanks for telling me. You have your online portal, right? Go ahead and put it on the online portal and make sure you do it. I'll make sure it gets taken care of. And they go ahead and do it, and boom, we're good to go. So it streamlines communication. Tenants communicate there. I don't really get phone calls ever at all unless it's really an emergency, which I have a specific emergency phone call number that is on my website that the tenants call. Automated reoccurring leases. This is where I was very lazy at. Not lazy, just didn't really know how to manage it before I had a system that really told me what to do. What's great about these systems is it tells you what to do, so you don't have to think about it. So there's a lot of times where tenants will be like, all right, I'm moving out. And I'd be like, what do you mean? They're like, well, my lease has been up for 2 months. And I'd be like, wow, it really has. Well, now I have it set so 90 days prior to their lease expiring, I go ahead and it sends an automated renewal out to them, so they get it 90 days in advance. If it doesn't come back within 30 days, it sends it again, and then it keeps sending it again. So a lot of times people will renew and I won't even know it, and the system automatically renews and it's good to go. You can set certain standards on your renewal process, like if you want a 2% rent increase, or you want a deduction from rent, or what have you. It's a really great process that really just increases your revenue, keeps a better track of your accounting, and overall it's definitely helped me. Best part about this is what I really liked is the professionalism and the perception of you as the operator of your business. I've gotten emails, text messages from tenants saying, wow, your communication is great. Your website is awesome. You communicate at a high level. I love the fact that before you start renovating one of the lobbies of your apartment buildings, we're not just getting a sticky note on the door. You're sending a mass email out, and everybody gets it all at once, and it's posted on your website. So it's just they're professional in perception of you, even though I'm not this massive billion-dollar company. But you look like one because each tenant has their own login. They have your own company website. You literally look like a professional because just on the perception on how the tenants view the system and the onboarding, the welcoming, the whole entire process. If you amaze your tenants in the beginning, then they're always going to constantly use that system. Now, the tenants, how this really works is, let's say you have a tenant and they like renting from you. So I have a lot of tenants like, I grew out of my unit, but I love working for, renting from you and your company. They can go on your website and they see all of your available units that come up. I have tenants saying, hey, I like that building. My lease is enough for 4 months, but I know that you're renovating that. Can I go on the waiting list? That has happened so many times. So therefore, you're retaining tenants, which are good things. So usually if you're retaining tenants, those are tenants that you like. And then on top of that, it tells them available units to tell their friends and everything as well. Now, if you look at the overall availability of rental units, tenants are able to share that, so they can share to their friends which units are available. And if I used to have to post on Zillow, Hotpads, all these different type of platforms within Buildium, you post your unit through Buildium. It then populates through all of the the softwares and everything that's out there. It automatically does it for you. And then if that unit gets rented and you take it down, all that information saves. So all you have to do is click a button and it automatically populates it again for you. So it's a really cool software. But yeah, so that's what's really helped me kind of scale from 15 units to, continuing to grow my business. I have way more time to spend with my family, where weekends were a lot of my expense time. Everything's pretty much on automated. I'm increasing revenues. My tenant retention's going up. My overall lifestyle is growing. So, that's kind of what I have for you guys on what really helped me scale, is simply just making my business automated. Now, as far as Freeland goes, we're buying right now. So my goal here with Freelanding and my job as a partner is to really scale our business and find some properties. So on this slide, you can see the type of properties that we're interested in. Anything between 2 to 4 unit residential. We're more focused on apartment buildings, A and B class areas. So anything that you know of, please refer. But these are our type of properties that we're looking at buying, and I'm kind of taking the bull by the horns and really to scale their business. So if anyone has any questions right now, Glenn, does anybody have any questions in the chat box?
Yep, we do. We've got a couple of them here. One of them is, been using Buildium for a while now. Getting a better handle on the maintenance piece would be helpful. So I think you covered that a little bit more. I don't know if there's anything more specifically that you drill into. So relative to the maintenance piece, Tyler, maybe talk about, you've automated the process relative to how people submit it. But once you get that through, do you have a property management company that's actually doing the repairs, going out there? Maybe talk a little bit about how you handle the actual maintenance piece and boots on the ground once you've got the ticket in from the system.
Yeah, so as you grow, it's always good to recruit, obviously contractors. But how I handle the maintenance piece, because the maintenance request comes in, what I did is I still oversee it and I still view it, and I make sure like they're getting done. But you can connect, you can actually add another user to your account. So I added one of my top contractors that I empowered, and gave him a role that all of these maintenance requests go to his email. So he has first grab at it. And for him, it's like money. Every time he gets an email, it's like he sees money symbols, right? Now, if he can't take care of it, he will let me know. And I have another one that's in the backup. So it kind of automated that these maintenance requests go right to my maintenance guys, and they're able to take that, update it, and I can see if the job's done. They take pictures of the job, it gets updated. And then instead of them coming to me to give me get the check from them, I actually pay them through the vendor aspect of Buildium. So I make sure they set up with their username or with their account routing number and account number, and then I can pay them directly EFT payment right to their bank account, so they know the money is guaranteed to go there once they provide proof that it's done. So now it actually minimized me having to physically go to the property, check to make sure the repair was there, and waste my time doing that. And then I get stuck talking to the tenant, or I get stuck talking to the contractor for hours when it should have been a 5 to 10 minute in and out thing. Now I require the tenants say, my sink's broken, take a picture of it, so my contractors can see what's wrong prior to their arrival, so they can come with their tools that they need, or at least most of the material that they need. Now they'll have to go to Home Depot and stuff every once in a while, but if the picture of there is there of the issue, and then the contractor provides me proof that it's completed, then boom, then the job's done, and I can literally automate my entire business, from any state I want to be. I mean, I run my business consistently in different states when I'm on vacation, and it's nice. I don't have to go and check up on a lot of things that don't really need to be checked up on. What other questions do we got?
So, obviously makes it pretty easy to manage and track payments through. What are the fees that Buildium charges the tenant to process their payments through there? Do the tenants get charged for using the platform?
No. So it's the tenants have free access. So if they set up with their bank account, and they do EFT payments, it doesn't charge them anything. If for some reason they don't want to use their bank account, and or maybe the money's tight that month and they have a credit card, they can actually use a credit card, debit card, credit card, Venmo card. They can use any type of card, but it charges a 2% credit card transaction fee.
Okay. Got it. What about, so when you send out those automatic leases, great feature, by the way, love how you can kind of set, 90 days ahead and that goes kind of on autopilot. Are they able to sign that digitally? Are they able to kind of edit it or make any changes and just kind of digitally sign and send that back through, or how does that work?
Yeah, so like all of us have probably used DocuSign. So there's a DocuSign feature that is actually built within Buildium. So when you onboard the tenant, you upload your basic lease that you use, and then it's already saved as a document within Buildium. And then you upload your renewal that you want to have. And then once a tenant is your tenant, all of their information is stored in there. So when it's renewal time, you just send out the system sends out a renewal to the tenant with it. You can either do a manual, which the first one or two is usually a manual, but then you could also send out an e-sign. So it would automatically update for them and send it out there. So all they have to do is click their name and e-sign, just like any other DocuSign process.
Great. Last question, at least currently in the chat box, does the contractor upload an invoice directly through here? So is they're making repairs or they're doing stuff out on the property, can you manage the payables through here as well?
Like as far as like your material stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what the question is, but I'm going to guess that they're wanting to know, as you're managing multiple properties, can as you send out someone to go do a repair, can they just bill you through Buildium? So you just are building an accounts payable list that you can quickly punch through and manage that all through Buildium.
Absolutely. So what I do is any of my contractors, you add them as a vendor. So if their name is, John Jones, you just add John Jones in there as a vendor with their phone number, email, and you put if they have insurance in there, and then you save them, then you add them as a vendor, then you set up EFT with them. So you can, and if you make a repair, so let's say a maintenance request comes through to replace a toilet, and it's to 123 Main Street. That maintenance request comes through, 123 Main Street toilet, you assign it to a vendor. The vendor takes pictures, updates that it's done, you go to hit pay bill, right? Because you basically, the vendor will generate a bill for you, what's done. You hit pay bill, you can say check or EFT. And as long as you onboard them with their routing number and their account number, you hit EFT and then it will pay automatically out of the bank account that is tied to that property and set up to that property. So you don't have to worry about, is it coming out the right account? Is it coming out this account? When you onboard a property, you set up a bank account that's utilized to operate that specific property. So when you pay that vendor, you don't have to think about which property this is because the bank account's already tied to that property and it goes directly wired right into the vendor's bank account.
Great. Awesome tool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions here, Tyler.
Okay.
So thank you for that. Great job.
Excellent. So yeah, that's where that's what's kind of helped me, scale the business. It's definitely something to look into. And if Buildium's not for you, it's just in general, investing into overall property management software. It breaks down as you grow your portfolio, it actually gets cheaper. But it breaks down to $20 to $25 per unit a month. And what really stopped me before is that was a lot of money, that I thought. But after I was able to focus on buying more properties, automate things, it's definitely worth it. And their customer service is great too. So if you need to hit up the help desk or anything like that, they're always there to help. But yeah, so I just want to thank everybody that that's on the call or on the webinar for showing up. And I'm looking forward to continuing to meet everybody, and hopefully we can do this this meeting in person within the next month or so we can really grow our network and everybody can do some deals.
Yep, absolutely great. Thanks, Tyler. So our next event slated for July 10th, 2:00. We already have our speaker identified. It's going to be Gary Cooper and Anthony DeMarco. They're with Colliers International. So we'll get some more information out on their topic here in the very near term. The other thing that I'd like to ask is, in an effort to really try to provide as much value as we can in the content that you'd like to see, we'd like to hear what topics you'd like to drill into deeper. So hopefully you found the content today valuable in from David Streeter in the past and Jack Petrick. What are some of the topics or speakers that you'd like to hear from that you think would provide value to the group? So, we're going to do our best to continue to push content out there, whether it's, on the website or in these meetings. But again, our goal is to make these, valuable sessions and get great participation. As Tyler mentioned, our hope is we can start doing these again soon. And, in my opinion, some of the most valuable time spent is out there bumping elbows in the, at the event live. So hopefully we'll get there soon. But in the interim, I would just ask, go to the chat box and just take a minute here and let us know a topic, a speaker, a technique, whatever it is that you feel like, you would like to hear from the group or elaborate on best practices. We're happy to do our best in trying to provide that for you in one of the upcoming sessions. So appreciate your time today. Try to follow us. We continue to push out as much content as we can, whether it's through the OLA Group or through any of our Freeland outlets here. Hit us up on all the social media platforms. And again, thank you for your time today. Appreciate you joining us. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather, and we'll talk with you soon. Thanks, everybody.